Look, I just don't understand it, Espo. It's 4th down and 4. How do you not? Oh, wait, sorry. That's the wrong show. Psychos and sickos unite for a We're Here to Distract You from the Awful Arizona Cardinals edition of the PHNX Suns pregame show, of course, brought to you by Gila River Resorts and Casinos. You do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Visit playatgila.com for more details. I'm Eric. That's Espo. We got the freckled mamba holding it down behind the Mac and making all of the magic happen. But, of course, none of the magic can happen without all of you hanging out with us on a Sunday afternoon, including Music is Universal. We got Emily, Sean, my dad, Ashley, Jeff, AZBG, Little Big Man TV, Deborah, Aaron, a bunch of members in here. Thank you all so much for joining us as the Phoenix Suns take on the San Antonio Spurs on the first night of Espo, as you like to call it, a Sega Baba. We're going to talk about the injury report. We'll briefly talk about maybe some news that came down about tomorrow's game, and of course get into our keys, predictions, and bets for Sunday night's showdown. Espo, how are you feeling a day off since the last Suns win, one of the craziest games that we have witnessed?
I want to take a real quick second off the top here to wish Carlos, who's one of our diehards, good luck going through some health issues, and we are thinking about you, man, and pulling for you. So thank you for being part of our community, and sorry you're going through what you're going through right now. In terms of how I'm feeling, look, we just suffered through whatever that was that the Cardinals did. I laughed real hard at Johnny Venerable's crash out.
They're just the Cardinals.
But, when you look at what the Suns were able to do the other night, that was something special. But you got to hope that they don't have a letdown coming off of that. You got to bottle that feeling. You got to bottle that energy. You got to come out and you got to play hard. Right, and that's the key tonight, because the Spurs, even though they're missing Wemby, are a team that have won 3 in a row. Mm-hmm. They're not a team that is bad, even though they're missing their star. So you got to come out, and you're a team that's missing just as many guys, and so you can't overlook anybody right now. You got to go out there and play hard.
I think it's time to get into the injury report, presented by, of course, our friends over at the Husband and Wife Law Team. If you've had a serious injury, call the Husband and Wife Law Team first at 602-783-8841 or visit their website at husbandandwifelawteam.com. Lots of names on the injury report for both sides. For the Suns, Jalen Green remains out. He'll still be out for a couple more weeks here. Grayson Allen misses his 4th straight game with a right quad contusion.
White too. You've done that twice now.
It's the right quad. That's what gets me.
Right
Rasheer
white
Fleming
quad.
will be missing his 2nd straight game after cracking the rotation with a left ankle sprain. He was questionable coming into today, which is an upgrade. Ends up being out. Ryan Dunn out, but not with an ass sprain, wrist sprain.
I still think this is a what would they call it? A glute contusion, but they did not want to embarrass him by saying he had a bruised ass. So
usually when it comes to Ryan Dunn, it's my right wrist contusion. Oh, wait, no, left wrist.
Jeez,
my bad.
Come on. You got to get the joke right if you're going to do it. All right?
You know what? It's just been so long, and it's so not true that I forgot about it. On the Spurs side of things, obviously, like you mentioned, Victor Wembanyama is out. He deals with a calf strain like half the NBA, it feels like, including Dylan Harper. Stephon Castle also out, so Area 51 is done for tonight. Jordan McLaughlin is out. Harrison Ingram is questionable, but like you mentioned, Espo, this is a Spurs team that's got some depth, that's still won some games recently, and a lot of that starts with De'Aaron Fox. As for the Suns, you're missing Grayson Allen, you're missing Jalen Green, you're missing Ryan Dunn. So the question is, who goes in that starting lineup? We should get word any second now from the Suns.
It's gotta be Colin.
And I agree with you, but do you think that there's any argument for, oh, it's not Colin?
Well, they did go with a guard. They went Jordan Goodwin.
Wow.
All right.
Jordan Goodwin getting the start. And the question I was about to ask, as Jordan Goodwin starts with Booker, Brooks, O'Neal, and Williams, is do you keep Colin in the role that he's been thriving in, which is off of the bench, and have a playmaker come in? Jordan Goodwin, definitely keeps that defense up that Ryan Dunn had for you. And honestly, he's been a better offensive player than Ryan Dunn so far this season.
Yeah, I think that is what it probably came down to, is you wanted to, like you said, keep Colin in his role, and you want to keep that defensive intensity up. The nice thing is when Devin comes off the floor and you have Colin there, you continue to have a quality ball handler. So I get that, but I think Jordan Goodwin makes sense as well, and he earned it in those final minutes, final 40 seconds with what he did as well, and he's played well. So I will trust this, as Ashley says. I trust Ott, and I am in the same boat there, and you won't see a defensive drop-off, even though you see a size drop-off a bit. But as the context Steven pointed out on, I believe it was Thursday's show, Goodwin is very good at guarding guys that are larger than him as well.
Yeah, I do wonder, though. I think he might be in this lineup to guard De'Aaron Fox, because you got Devin Booker. You don't want to put Devin Booker on De'Aaron Fox. It might be Dillon Brooks, but the Spurs still have a lot of guys that can get a bucket and that you have to keep your eyes on, especially taller guys. They're starting De'Aaron Fox, Devin Vassell, Julian Champagnie, Harrison Barnes, and Luke Cornett. That's not a small lineup, right? So I do think that you might put Goodwin on Fox and hide Booker on Champagnie, put Brooks on maybe Barnes. Barnes has been really good, and Royce O'Neal and Vassell, maybe switch that up. Not 100% sure, but I am curious who gets the De'Aaron Fox matchup, simply because he has been really good in everything the Spurs have needed him to be since his return from his injury.
It'll probably be Goodwin. I'm sure they'll flash some looks where Dillon Brooks may also go over. This offense obviously isn't as potent without Victor Wembanyama. You can take some chances defensively there for sure. So I think that Ott will get very creative, but I don't think this is going to be a game that you win on the defensive end of the floor.
You don't think so?
No, this is going to be a game where you got to put the Spurs in a blender. You've got to play Ott ball, swing that ball, get in the lane, and since they have no real rim protection, at least not in the way that you usually do when you've got Victor Wembanyama there, is you got to cut down the lane and then kick it to find guys out on the perimeter. They shot 73% in the first half from deep in game one. It's obviously not going to be that good, but you can hit a quality percentage against this team, and I think you're going to need to do that. So be aggressive, get in the lane, swing the ball out, and find that open look. Go good, better, best like they have been, and find the quality shot. You obviously are down a lot of one of your best shooters in Grayson Allen, but you still have good firepower and guys willing to shoot it out there. So that's what I'm doing tonight. That's where I think you win, is your aggressiveness, and then not allowing second chance buckets or easy buckets by giving up turnovers. This is a play a clean game, and you're going to walk away with a win. Don't do anything stupid like you did with the turnovers the other night, and you should be all right.
Yeah, look, we saw the Suns win when the margin for error was thin, despite making a ton of errors against Minnesota, simply because they've had that grit, that want to, that have to, about the defensive end of things. You are down a lot of your best offensive options here. It'll be interesting to see Jordan Goodwin in extended minutes, if he can continue the offensive output that he's been giving in limited minutes. So far, Dillon Brooks continues to be a revelation, especially in the post-up game. He's actually one of the most efficient post-up scorers in the NBA at this point. Realistically, right now, Espo, I don't know if you can handle another game like Devin Booker gave you against Minnesota, and partially because he almost had 10 turnovers in his own right and a poor shooting night. Minnesota is a good team. San Antonio right now is a better team, and I think a lot of people will look at, okay, no Wemby, no Dylan Harper, no Stephon Castle. Well, this is still a team that has a lot of depth and that is playing really well, and with your injuries too, like San Antonio is certainly one of the harder teams that you'll have faced so far this year. And the last time you played them, Espo, we talk about the offensive end, shifting focus to the defensive end. Obviously, having Victor Wembanyama is always a good thing for your team, but it also presents like a very clear-cut hierarchy of what your defense needs to do. And the Suns went into last game against San Antonio, knowing that they had to throw everything in the kitchen sink at Victor Wembanyama and make him uncomfortable. And the entire game plan was dedicated to stopping that guy. sometimes when your stars are out or when your number one guy is out, it becomes more difficult to pick your spots and to figure out exactly how you are going to defend a team that's more evenly dispersed offensively.
I would argue you have a similar situation here because De'Aaron Fox was out that last game when the Suns played the Spurs. I think essentially you're switching Wembanyama being the hub of your offense for Fox. So you're going to have a similar defensive plan where you're focusing on what Fox does and how you can slow him down, because the rest of the Spurs have already proven they can't beat you when you're playing good defense against the main offensive hub there. Now, yes, it's a different way you're approaching it with Victor Wembanyama being out, but I think, again, you have almost a sole focus offensively that's going to have to be that engine in De'Aaron Fox.
Yeah.
So make the other guys beat you. And how do you do that? That's what the defensive plan has to be this time. You're going to have to figure out how do you isolate him, shut him down, and then how do you continue to rotate well like you have all season long to contest the other guys from getting open shots.
It's a fun challenge. It's a different challenge, but it's very fun. And you are, in a vacuum, fortunate to catch this team not fully healthy because you are facing a long stretch of teams. Obviously, Houston tomorrow, big blow, Kevin Durant not playing in that game due to family reasons. So you are starting to see some of these teams in this brutal schedule we had talked about going into this past week become slightly on paper easier, which in a lot of people's minds means you have to take more of an advantage tonight.
Yeah, but to your point as well, the Suns have had injury after injury after injury as well. So I think that kind of, balances the scales a little bit here. The thing is, Jordan Knotts preached the mentality, it doesn't matter who's there, doesn't matter who you're playing. You have to go out there and take care of your approach and your game plan, and that's the key. And you've got to see, okay, can this team continue to do it as they go deeper and deeper into that rotation? Because you look at it, Dunn's now out, and Rasheer Fleming would have been the guy to pick up additional rotational minutes. He's out. So now Isaiah Livers?
You are going to see Isaiah Livers. You might see Jamari Bouye.
Yeah,
tonight.
I mean, you're going to have to go deep, but how do you continue to get those performances from guys that aren't expected to have those performances? And if there's a coach that can tap into it, Jordan Knott's done it to perfection in the first 16 games.
Yeah, a lot of great comments in the chat, including a lot of people talking about Mark Williams. Now, obviously, Espo, we mentioned at the beginning, this is the first end of a back-to-back, right? And we have heard a lot about the plan when it comes to Mark Williams. The plan. Well, the plan has been Mark Williams plays on the front end of a back-to-back, but not on the back end. Coach Ott was asked about his plan when it comes into these back-to-backs and how they gauge how many minutes he plays tonight and if he plays tomorrow.
Yeah, we're gonna continue to see how he comes from it. You never know. You get into a game and the flow of the game, exactly how many minutes he plays, and then how he feels afterwards. So again, this is a back-to-back, and we'll assess in the morning. But yeah, we're hopeful.
How much of it right now with him is more of like strategically picking which game you're gonna like slot him in for sure, and how much of it is like the medical timing more deciding which game he's gonna play?
It's the same approach. It's like just go play the game and we see what happens later. We know the schedule. This week is one of the toughest weeks we have. So definitely have a plan going in, but it can change mid-game, post-game for sure, or tomorrow morning.
I know, Espo, you had some thoughts about playing Mark and playing him maybe tomorrow or today, now with Katie out. Does that change your opinion on how the approach is tonight?
100%. Because now this is the game that you knew was more the winnable of the two. But there was something more that you were playing for on Monday. And don't tell me, they're all, not you, just in general, don't tell me that, it was just another game. No, if Katie was there was a different level to it. Now with him out, I think it makes sense to play Williams on the front end of this, especially the Spurs don't have a large wealth of big men. So hopefully he can take advantage of it. If you can get things taken care of early, which I think is going to be tough. But if you can, maybe you can rest him enough where they're comfortable playing him. But my guess is, based on everything we've seen, he's not going to play tomorrow, and you're going to roll the dice playing additional guys against Alperen Şengün and the larger roster that Houston has.
Yeah, my guess is when it comes to back-to-backs, that's not the first step of the plan that will change. I think the first step will be, okay, we see Mark Williams consistently play over 30 minutes a night, 31, 32, 33 minutes a night. See how he responds to that. Once he responds to that, okay, then we'll get into the back-to-backs. They're continuing to be cautious, and also the recent play from Oso Ighodaro has made it a little bit easier to stomach that. That being said, tonight, no Wemby. The Spurs are still going to try to target an Oso or target a Nick Richards when they're on the court. So you'll probably need Mark to play his full allotment of minutes tonight. I don't expect a blowout. I think the only way that you do get one Espo is if Devin Booker transcends and bounces back from a pretty rough game, maybe the worst game we've seen from him in quite some time. Recently against the Minnesota Timberwolves, Coach Ott also spoke about Devin Booker's mind for the game in pregame.
Yeah, you see it from afar, but until you're around him, the way his mind works, you can see it as a basketball player. And his processing speed on the court is definitely the fastest I've ever been around. The way he's reading defenses, the way he's very intuitive and in line with what is going on in the game, especially end of quarters. I think statistically, his end of quarters across his career have been unbelievable. So he's constantly thinking in general. And then when you're on the basketball court and you're with him, you can see his mind moving at a rate that is unlike anyone that I've been around. So doesn't surprise me that his mind is moving off the court as well.
And Devin Booker's a guy that rarely will have two really bad games back to back, knock on wood, touch metal, whatever your thing is. But to me, that's been something he's shown a lot in his career, is that bounce back game. I think tonight is a get well game from him in terms of at least protecting the ball. I'm not going to, I like to think he's going to score 45 points, and you'll see why later. But I think this will be a game where he cleans up the turnovers and distributes better than we saw. That was extremely out of character to have, I believe it was nine turnovers the other day. So I expect a bounce back game from Devin Booker tonight.
Here's a little reference for you. 9 times.
Yeah, a little Ferris Bueller.
The thing with Book is what Minnesota did, and Devin Booker gave him credit after the game, was they sent everybody at him, right? And missing more guys isn't going to help with that. San Antonio is a very well-coached team with Mitch Johnson taking over post-Pop era. They're going to do the same thing. So are the rest of the Suns, in a good enough position, right, to help him out? And of course, Book just has to be in attack mode. And Coach Ott kind of dove a little bit more into some specifics when it came to Book on offense and about him attacking switches on him when he's playing.
He's seen so many different coverages, Steven. I think he knows, and the group knows what we want to get to based on how the defense plays. And then if they change, then how fast can we change? Obviously, we'd love to be able to adjust and read it in that same possession, but how quickly can we change with the defense? So he's seen them all. He's the head of the snake on a lot of those coverage solutions, like what fits him best. But we should all know as a group exactly how we're going to, attack a switch or attack a drop. The double team situation that we've seen him see, especially as he gets rolling. So his mind's constantly moving there. And then even we don't have to call timeout. We don't have to wait to a dead ball. We know the coverage solutions.
I think what he highlighted that sticks with me the most, that I think the Suns have been lacking the last couple of years, especially when they've been injured, the top-end talent, is what is everybody else doing when Book gets sent doubles and triple teams? Because a lot of people will say, oh, well, Devin Booker needs to handle that better. And in some cases, they're true. But in other cases, how is Devin Booker being set up to handle these double teams? Does he know where his teammates are going to be? Do his teammates know where they need to be? I think this iteration of the Suns have done a much better job of that.
Oh, yeah. Jordan Ott's offense has really put Devin Booker, in most cases, in a better spot to get that pass out quick, to have them in a full concert, knowing how to run that, knowing what the options are, knowing when they show a certain coverage, how they're gonna run it. And the other night was just a bad game in terms of the turnovers across the board. And I think that we've seen with this team, every time they have a game where there are a lot of things that they need to correct, that following game, they usually do clean that up because Ott is not going to sit there and watch that tape and not hammer home the mistakes that they made.
Yeah, I mean, this week has been a microcosm of that, right? On Sunday, you blow a big lead to the Atlanta Hawks, let them go on a crazy run, okay? Against Portland, you go up big and you snuff it out and you don't let them get momentum, right? That's awesome. That's how a team learns. That's how a team gets better. You follow that up with a crazy game with a lot of mistakes, you find a way to win, but there's no way they headed into film and practice satisfied with their performance. They should have won that game by 15 points if they actually played like themselves. So now you go into this game, you have like this beautiful combination of, okay, we won, so we're riding high, the vibes are good, but now we can't sleep, not only because we know that we're injured, they're injured, doesn't matter, but also because, hey, we played like crap last game, right? And in order to get a win, we've talked about Book, we've talked about Mark, what we think some of the keys are. Obviously, our guy, Steven, is out at the morgue getting ready to witness another home game. He is always so gracious to send us his keys to the game. So here are his 3. Key number 1, contain their drives without fouling, especially against De'Aaron Fox. Key number 2, be early and help to shorten the route out to their shooters. And key number 3, win the turnover and rebound margins. Out of those 3, which is the number 1 key for you?
The last one is 100% the number 1 key for me, because giving up extra possessions will do you in. It's what kept that game close the other night and why you had to scramble to get a win literally in the final 40 seconds.
It's how Atlanta won on the boards on Sunday.
You have to be smart on the glass, and you cannot turn the ball over. If you If you give them those extra possessions, the math starts working against you, no matter how well you're shooting, no matter how well you're hitting those threes, and you're limited tonight. You've got a shorter bench due to all the injuries. So if you have to try to fight your way back into something because you've given up those turnovers, you've given up those extra rebounds, it's going to be even more difficult because of the lack of bench that you have right now.
Yeah, I mean, look, this has become a little bit more of an important game with tomorrow's news, and I think that just having that second end of the back-to-back beat Katie and the Rockets it doesn't allow the team to overlook a game like tonight, but I think as fans, naturally, you look ahead to that, especially without Wemby, and the fact that you've already beaten the Spurs this year. But I think a lot of that changed when that KD news came down. So I think it's a perfect time to check in with our SMW meter. Of course, the Suns must win meter. This might be our highest of the year, Steven, at a 7.5. I'm at an 8.8. Espo, you're at a 10. Why?
Yeah, it was a 1 before the KD news, but with the KD news, tomorrow's game takes significantly less importance to me. So tonight is a game that you are, at worst, evenly matched with this group with all of your injury news. You have to go out there and take care of business. This is a tough stretch. This is a game that's easier than everybody thought it was going to be when you were looking at this schedule. Go out there, get the win, because even without KD, that Houston roster presents a lot of unique challenges that you're going up against tomorrow. So take care of business now. Don't have any excuses, and then see what happens tomorrow against Houston. But if you win tonight, you've got a little bit more margin for error. If you will.
Well, and if you win tonight, you have more margin for error. And I know people say, well, Eric, why are you looking at the standings? Why look at the standings? Well, just because of how the tight the Western Conference already is, minus the Thunder, and how tight it was last year. You look at teams that the Suns are around when they played Portland, when they played Memphis. Well, guess what? They're now ahead both of those teams. Portland's the 9th seed. When they played Minnesota. Minnesota's the 7th seed now. The Suns a full game up in the 6th seed. Tomorrow, they play the team ahead of them 1 game in the 5th seed in the Houston Rockets. Tonight, they play a team in the San Antonio Spurs that sits in the 4th seed, 1.5 games ahead of them. If you beat them and have 2-0 on the season series over the Spurs, you're that much closer to, again, getting to a point in the season where you're over a quarter of the way, or you're close to a quarter of the way through the season. You are in contention for a top 4, top 3 seed at this point with every win and loss. So I know that is not the end-all be-all right now, but it is something that it's exciting to be able to keep a slight eye on, even though it's not the most important thing.
No, you did not fall on your head. It is not late March, and we're not looking at playoff seeding because of that. It's just Eric's a little excited about where the Suns are.
I think it's more of just a testament to how close the West has been the last couple of years,
and it will continue to be. And I understand the reason for looking. I'm looking at more game to game right now. The team in front of you has so many significant injuries with Castle and Wembanyama and Harper out that this is a game take care of now so you don't look back later and go, man, we had an easier one there that we should have taken care of and we didn't. Just focus on the team in front of you and just get the win because you have the more talented group out there tonight.
Well, you mentioned these teams are about even. Let's go ahead and take a look at what Bet365 has for the Let's get into our pregame picks, of course, presented by Bet365. Sign up, use code PHNX365, deposit 10, place a bet for 5, get $150 in bonus bets. If your bet wins or loses, bonus bets can be used on spreads, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary. At Bet365, you must be 21 plus and physically located in Arizona. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP, text NEXT STEP to 53342, or visit problemgambling.az.gov. Espo, let's take a look at the standings before we get into your bet.
At the standings?
Yeah, they're bad. Okay. Now let's go ahead and look at what your bet is for tonight.
Oh, this is for all the degenerates out there. Devin Booker, 45-plus points. De'Aaron Fox, 40-plus points. And Colin Gillespie, 5 or more three-pointers at a plus 30,000. This is where an entire season can be made right there.
Yeah, I mean, what's going to be really funny is when everything hits except for Gillespie hits 4 threes.
He's going to hit 6. It's going to be De'Aaron Fox that is 39 tonight.
Something must have been in the air tonight, Espo, because you and I have gone relatively conservative so far this season.
Is insane tonight.
Lower odds than yours, though, I do believe.
Yeah, and you have more things that have to go right.
It's time we pay homage to the SPG bets, to the flex bets, pay homage to those who came before me. Take a look at my parlay for tonight, a plus 10,400 with a 30% profit boost. I got De'Aaron Fox over 37.5 points, rebounds, and assists. I've got Colin Gillespie over 24.5 PRA. I've got Dylan Brooks over 1.5 steals and blocks combined. I've got Colin Gillespie individually at over 4.5 rebounds. Harrison Barnes at over 2.5 3-pointers made. I got Mark Williams with a double-double against the Wemby list. Spurs, Devin Booker over 7.5 assists. And give me Jeremy Sohan over 2.5 assists. Look now, that would get me $1,050 in return on a $10 bet.
Poor Ayrton that's going to have to try to track.
I'll track it. I'll track it. Don't worry about it.
I'm going to have to triple check because that's the kind of thing that you be like, yeah, it hit, because you don't think we're going to look at the 16 legs you have on this thing.
Look, I put my faith in this parlay. I put my faith in Bet365. What I've really loved is every year Bet365 ups their game. Now when you're going and selecting things on the same game parlay, they tell you what that player did in that category the last 5 games. So a double-double, has this player gotten a double-double in the last 5 games? What about 3-pointers? Look, I think that yours, obviously less legs, but technically more unlikely than mine. 2 40-ball, dueling 40 balls and 5 3-pointers off the bench, while I could see it, is certainly something. Mine, obviously, a lot of more realistic things, but all of them stacked up to make them less realistic.
Every little thing, now you've got to hit. So
every little thing is going to be all right. I hope so.
No, it's not.
And hopefully,
not for either of us. It's going to be rough on them streets.
Well, look, as long as the Suns win, that's all that matters for all of us, because that's what we want. That's why we're here. But is that what we think is going to happen? Let's take a look at our score predictions for Suns Spurs round 2. Steven with a 122-115 victory for the Suns. I'm going 117-115 in favor of the Suns. Another nail biter in my books. And you, Espo, 116-108.
Yeah, I think that they take care of business. They protect the basketball tonight, and they get a win for sure. And, our friend Boom Shakalaka, a.k.a. Beer is Good 45.
Great names.
Has the Spurs winning, which gives me faith that the Suns will pull another one out.
I just want to say Beer is Good 45, a.k.a. Boom Shakalaka. I know what you're doing, and I see ya, and I appreciate it.
I'm not sure if he's doing
100%.
I don't know.
100%. He's doing
I mean,
it.
the hate feels real in a lot of ways.
I think the
book
hate maybe
you know,
individually on some players for sure. Boom Shakalaka is a Suns fan, and I know it. I know it. Jeff
self-hating Suns fan.
Jeff going 120-110. Connor predicting a W. Zeke predicting a W. Aaliyah is predicting a W. We got a lot that we are excited for. Elko saying SMW 7.3. Any final thoughts?
It's a 10. This is one of the few times you'll see me with a 10, but it's a 10 tonight. Get the win.
Let's do it. Russell says Suns win 120, Spurs 80. Man, I hope so. And if that happens, we'll be partying hard back here on the PHNX Suns postgame show. No watch along, so make sure you tune in for the postgame show. Hit that like button. Hit the subscribe button as well. While you are watching the Suns game, go ahead and check on over with the PHNX Cardinals crew as they deal with another brutal Cardinals loss. Just show them some love. Even keep it on mute. Hit the like button for them. Just help them out. They need all the good positive vibes they can get.
Make fun of Johnny for crashing out. Whatever you want.
Do we have a watch along schedule or is it random? I'll tell you this: we have a watch along tomorrow. So
whoa! You're just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
We made the decision.
I think so.
All right, we're gonna watch Dylan Brooks terrorize his own team tomorrow with you as a watch along.
It's kind of random, but we can let y'all know a little bit in advance. Sometimes it depends on the game, but we know every single game, pregame, postgame show will be right here on PHNX Suns. We'll talk to you then. Bye.
Ahoy, hoy.
We all silly like the mayor.